Hey, folks, here we are. It is another wonderful day in downtown Beaver, Pennsylvania. Going to be a great show today. I'm early today. If you pick this up on Newsfeed, I'm actually going to repost it to all of my platforms at 12 o'clock noon. For the next 3 days, this is what we're going to do because I have a 12 o'clock noon to 5 o'clock online video conference that I'm participating in. So that means every day I'm going to do this at 11 o'clock, 11 a.m., and I'm going to post it at noon onto all of the platforms, to the Family Money Farm group, etc. So with that being said, I'm just going to take a short moment here, and as we do every day, we want to offer our prayers to everybody affected by COVID in some way that literally goes around the world. I mean, there are people on here that are following me that are literally from everywhere in the world, from Australia to the UK to Africa. And I thank you so much. And I hope and pray that everything that I say on here has some kind of value and can impact your life in some way, in some positive way. And we want to make sure that our prayers go out to those who have lost loved ones and to the loved ones who have been lost, that the Lord would open his arms and take them into his heaven above. So as we get started today, we're on planning this week, planning, goals, resolution, and we always want to keep in mind, what is the real purpose of this? What is your why? We all at one time or another in our life, on January 1, we've made resolutions, whether it was resolve to lose weight, whether it was to resolve to save more money or whatever it was, we have all made resolutions along the way in our lives. And with that, I want to make sure that as we look at this and the things that we're doing, are we doing the things that we really need to do to have success? The 4 rules that we have to overcome, the 4 rules of the banking equation. I want all your money, more ongoing, keep forever, give back as little as possible. We need to learn how to turn the table around and make that our side of the table. So I get all of their money. I get more ongoing from them, cash flow. I get to keep it in control of it forever. And a lot of it is going to be tax advantage, so I'm going to pay less tax in the long run. And I get to keep it all and pass it to my heirs, to my children, and the next generation and the next generation. Those are the 4 rules that we need to learn how to do them on our side. Now, I have created 4 rules in the Financial Mastery Blueprint. Save 20% of your gross annual income. Because on average, 90 to 95% of everybody's money goes to pay for their bills, lifestyle, food, shelter, clothing, etc. The average savings rate in America over a long time has been around 3%. Right now, it's higher than that. Why is that? Why are you able to save more money today than you were in 2019? Because of COVID, because of the pandemic. I'll bet you've gone out to restaurants a lot less this year and the past year in 2020 than you have for a long time. So it allows you to save and accumulate more money. This is an opportunity, folks. This is truly an opportunity. When we look at the bad of the pandemic, remember there's yin and yang. There is always an opportunity inside of the negative. And we want to look for that opportunity and how it affects us. So I want to save 20% of my income. I want to accumulate capital equal to 50% of my annual income. I want to get rid of my consumer debt. And I want to truly become the CFO at home in the way that I manage my money. And beyond that becomes multi-generational. I'm going to teach it to my kids and my kids' kids, and that is my responsibility in order to do that. Remember, there are 5 challenges that we all have to overcome: risk, taxes, regulation, inflation, and depreciation of the dollar. So when we make decisions on how to save our money, where to save our money, how to invest our money, where to invest our money, who's going to manage it, and who is very important. You cannot approach everything in the how method. You know, if you're saying, well, I'm going to learn how to do that, there are things in life that you should not be learning how to do. You need to focus on who can do that I can hire. Because hiring people, the who, multiplies my time to do the things that I love to do. It frees up my time. Sorry. Don't mean to do that, but I don't know what it is about this room, but I come in here and my head stuffs up, and that's why I yawn. And anyway, risk, taxes, regulation, inflation, and depreciation of the dollar. So those are the 5 elements that have to be overcome to end up with the maximum. Why is having the most I can have important? Remember, we've talked about this. If you look at the US debt clock and the government's insatiable, vampirish approach to money. See, there was a movie on, I haven't talked about this for a long time, but I'll share a story. There was a movie, and I'll think of the name of it in a minute. But what they had done in this warehouse, it was the vampires of today. You know, the vampires of today are corporate executives, and they have this huge warehouse building that when they collect street people and people that have no family, and it's easy for them to disappear. And what they would do is, in this huge warehouse, they would hang the bodies in the warehouse. They would keep them alive by IV in the arm, but on the other side of that, they would drain blood from them that could be drained every day. So they had thousands and thousands of bodies hanging in this warehouse, and they would systematically drain the blood from these bodies, and that would be their feed, the vampires, so they wouldn't have to go out at night and kill people and to find fresh blood every day. But that was still out there. So as crazy as it sounds, Nelson called it the Willie Sutton problem, the human nature of Willie Sutton. Willie Sutton was a bank robber. And he'd rob a bank, he'd get caught, they put him in jail. He'd get out, he'd rob a bank, they'd catch him, they'd put him in jail. And after several times of this, somebody asked Willie one day, says, why do you rob banks, Willie? And he says, well, that's because where the money is. Well, if you think about the federal government and the state governments, because the pandemic has left the state coffers very low in capital because nobody's working, nobody's paying state taxes, but we all expect the services that we get from these organizations to continue on. The only answer the federal government has is to borrow and print money, or print money and borrow it. You know, whatever the combination is, it's how they do it. But as they do that, ultimately, they're going to have to look for revenue. The revenue last year was about $3.4 trillion was the total revenue for the federal government. But they spent $7 trillion. So they spent $3.6 trillion more than they took in, which was added to the debt. here's the money, and how can we tweak the tax code to get more money from all of the people? Well, there was a big tax increase this year. Last year, I called it the biggest tax increase ever, because if you were one of those people, you saw a tax increase beyond your expectation. And it was dealing with inherited IRAs. So dad passed away and left you his pension, his 401k, his IRAs, or any of those kind of accounts. Under the old law, if other than your spouse, okay, this is children. You inherit this money under the old law, you get the money, you could turn it into lifetime income to benefit you over your entire lifetime. And I worked with a few of those people that happened to, and we took that cash flow as income and we used it to fund a dividend paying mutual whole life insurance policy. So the money would be taxable to me. I paid tax on it, and I've now put it somewhere where it's going to grow in a tax deferred way. But at the same time, I have tax-free access to the money. That's interesting. So we have to think about what's going on. Now, the new law that was passed under what was known as the Secure Act last year, one thing they did, they moved the required minimum distribution of IRAs to age 72 before you have to start taking the money and pay the tax. But the other thing they did was they changed the tax law involving these inherited IRAs. If you inherit an IRA from your parents, you must now take all the money out of that IRA within 10 years and pay all the tax on it. And when you take it out, it's added to your current income. So it's going to gross up the percentage of tax that you're going to have to pay. So it's going to increase the amount of tax you pay, but at the same time, it's going to accelerate how you pay the tax. So the government gets their money quicker rather than later. So as we look at this and we look at the concept of being your own banker, it's really about hanging on to all of your money that you can hang on to outside of personal expenses. Grow it in a safe place where nobody else has access to the money. It is safe. It's been the most protected money in over 150 years. Rich people understand it. The banks purchase more permanent life insurance than all the consumers in America. Isn't that interesting that the banks and corporations do with their money what I'm telling you to do, but the rest of the financial will tell, oh, you don't want to do that. You want to give me all your money, more ongoing, so I can keep it forever and give back as little as possible. So what are we talking about today, folks? We were talking about resolutions. You should write them down. Write them out in detail. And with that becomes the beginning of a plan on how to do this. That's what the blueprint is all about. How do I save 20% of my income? Well, if you went to work tomorrow and you had a 20% pay cut and there were no other jobs available, wouldn't you learn to live on 80% of your income? It's just a decision, folks. And over time, it's about learning how to save money and using the money I've saved, accumulated capital I have access to, allows me to have higher deductibles on my auto, homeowners, excess liability, medical insurance, disability insurance. I can have higher deductibles that would lower my annual payments into those insurance companies by several $100s a year. Now that is more new money to save, and the bigger those piles of money get, the more risk I can assume on my own, which is where the real rate of, we're all chasing a bigger rate of return, true? You can either chase a higher rate of return on your money, or you can figure out how to lower expenses on your money so that you hang on to more of your money. Those are the only two choices you have. And the second one, getting in control of your money, paying yourself, owning your debt, paying all the interest to yourself you would willingly pay to a bank or a financial institution. It is the only way to maximize your true wealth potential. So I'm going to cut it off there. We've been on here a while. I will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. It'll post at noon. But we're going to continue our journey this week on talking about resolutions and the Financial Mastery Blueprint. Get my book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project. Go to cfo-project.com, put in your name and email address. You will get a link. You'll get an email with a link where you can actually download a free copy of the book. On that page, you will have an opportunity to start and begin investing in yourself at $47 to get the other 4 books and the 1-hour video. They will literally change your life. I guarantee it. Because if you can say you read the books and you watched the video front to back, the whole video, and it had no value to you, I will give you back your $47. It is not about the $47. That just covers some expenses in operation of that particular website. So God bless. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. God bless.